my name is Paul Davis. You don't know me, but you're going to want to know me because I have a number of great homespun recipes that over the next couple of years I'm going to share with you. I'm going to now give you the procedure for a meal that came from the Depression era of the United States. But first, I want to bring in my sidekick, my sister, Hillary B. Sigismundi.
Hello.
Please hold up the sign. This first ever installment is a lesson on making buckwheat and kidneys. Hillary, would you share with the audience your memories, your preference for buckwheat and kidneys?
Any special occasion, we had buckwheat and kidneys.
And what did your neighbor friends say when you brought them over to test them?
Oh my God, I don't want to eat that. But we did, and we loved it. And when you would eat it, you were pretty much done for the entire day.
That is true.
Correct?
That is true.
So it was like 3 meals in one, basically.
So you're going to see Hillary throughout throughout this video, exit stage left.
Thank you.
Buckwheat and kidneys. It starts with going to your local butcher, any convenience store, Hy-Vee, Giant, and going to your butcher and saying, I need you to order me beef kidneys. Now, preferably, you're going to get the kidneys out of a pig, a pork kidney. But Rosemary Davis, my mother, this is her recipe, handed down by her, Nanny Davis, I believe. No.
My nanny or mom?
I can't remember which grandmother it was. My mother says try to get pork kidneys, but if not, ask your grocer to get you a beef kidney. Now, here in Iowa, a beef kidney comes in a saran-wrapped, no air inside of it, package.
Vacuum packed.
Vacuum packed. Thank you. The word prompter is off to the side. So I bought a case, $28, comes with about 10, 12 pounds of beef kidneys. They come frozen. They come frozen. So before you can do anything, you need to let them sit overnight in the refrigerator so that they can thaw. In a moment, step 1. Step 2, Rosemary's buckwheat and kidneys. So I've allowed the kidneys to thaw overnight in the refrigerator. That's very important.
How many hours?
Well, no, overnight.
Oh.
You let them thaw overnight. And then this is what you're left with. And I think this is intriguing. Now, a lot of people, this grosses them out. I think this is fascinating. This is this was in a cow. Can you believe it? This is incredible. This was inside a living organism, and I'm going to be eating it in a couple of hours. So this is thawed, and it stays together, but it's flubbery. Kind of gross for a lot of people. We're ready now. Step 2, place them in a nice high quality stove pan. And you want to, according to Rosemary, cover them with a good amount of water. And I think she meant about 2 inches above the cresting roofage of the kidney. And we're pioneering new words here. Heavily salt the water. Why salt the water? Because, ladies and gentlemen, when you think what this was doing inside of a cow, it was filtering urine. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what it did. So we're going to, with the salt water, and I'm not going to give you a measurement. Just use a lot of salt. Doesn't matter what kind. Don't text me and ask me what kind of salt. And then you can cover it. You can cover it if you'd like. Now you want to put it into your white man's privilege refrigerator and put it in the fridge and let it soak. Rosemary says at least 8 hours. I honestly think you can go 6 hours and the filtration of the urine out of the kidney will be complete. But just for safety purposes, 8 hours, let those kidneys soak in that highly salted water. I'm Paul Davis, step 3 of buckwheat and kidneys. Rosemarie's buckwheat and kidneys. Hillary is still here. You take your kidneys out. They've been soaking for at least 8.5 hours, and the water will change. You'll see blood and all kind of stuff in there. In this video, since I'm doing this in quick steps, I have not actually allowed these. Well, I have allowed these to go overnight, but now I'm redoing the video portion to give you an explanation of what to do. You've drained the water out, okay? They've been filtered all night. Then, according to the instructions, you wash them, you rinse them 3 different times. So, you've had salt on them all night, they've been soaking. I picked out 4 because for 3 people, 4 substantial sized kidneys will give you at least 2 different helpings of this meal. So, when you take them back in there again, and you do this 3 times, you rinse them, then you put them back in your high quality pan, and you cover them with water. Again, cold water. We're using cold water this entire time. And you cover that, I would say 1.5 inches above the cresting surface of your lead kidney. And now you go over to your stove. I have a high quality Kenmore here. I have a power burner that is more powerful than any burner a human being should be allowed to have. And I am going to heat these, simmer them for 15 to 20 minutes to cook them partially. Stay tuned. I needed to mention that as you're trying to get the kidneys up to a boil, and that's when you'll start the clock for 15 minutes of kind of mini boiling.
Hold on a second. Once the boiling starts, that's when you start the 15
That's
minutes?
when you start the 15. Come on in here, Hillary.
I'm sorry, just trying to be
Hillary,
clear.
what do you notice about the aroma in the house? It's different, isn't it?
I wouldn't necessarily call it an aroma. I might call it a stench.
Well, yeah, but you get over that, and we can't describe the stench.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound like it's a negative thing because it brings back very good memories
Yes.
of childhood, but it's a very unique odor.
All right, so the step I wanted to show you, or the tip is, when you're trying to get to the boil, make sure that you take an instrument like this and stir. You do not want a particular kidney or 2 lying on the bottom of the pan, and thus, oh, but look, can you see that? Blood's coming out of one of the arteries. I find this intriguing. But you want to stir it so that you don't singe or cook a bottom of the kidney. You don't want that. So once I get to the boil, that's when I start my timer. That's when I start my timer for 15 minutes. Okay. We're not there yet. Stay tuned. Buckwheat and kidneys.
I smell it! I smell it! It's happening!
She's talking about the wonderful stench, aroma that fills the house when the buckwheat kidneys, the recipe calls that we wait 15 minutes for the kidneys to boil, simmer on the stove. They have done that. I'm turning the flame off. And what I'm going to do now, now that water looks like it has filtered a lot of several months and years of a cow living its life. Now it smells,
Smell it! Ugh.
And I'm pouring out all the water. Be careful. Have a grate on your sink. You don't want to lose a kidney like I almost did. And they are out of the pan. What I'm going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to wait for these to cool down. I can speed the process. Rosemarie Davis, she couldn't say enough in her original instructions. That's how smaller they are than we first started. But she couldn't say enough about washing the heck out of these little kidneys. I am so hungry right now, ladies and gentlemen. I could bite in right now because it's actually very, very good. Notice how the slime is stopping up my sink. That is not good for your sewage system, but I don't ever worry about it. So I'm going to continue to wash these off and let them cool down. Ladies and gentlemen, I have forgotten what step this is in the buckwheat and kidney meal, and quite frankly, I don't care. But stay tuned, the next step is coming up after these bad boys cool down. So now another stage of cooking, sign please. Rosemary Davis's buckwheat and kidneys. This is the most intense, labor-intense moment.
But lovely bonding time. Wonderful opportunity for conversation amongst family.
The 15-minute boiled kidneys have been sitting in cold water for a few minutes, and they're chilled now. And we each have a cutting board. You can choose the kind that you'd like to use in your home. And we each have a sharp cutting apparatus. Ladies and gentlemen, all you're trying to do is cut out of the kidney.
These are harder to cut. I remember Mom saying
These are
this.
harder than the
beef.
Than the pork.
These are beef. Harder than the pork.
Now there's a lot of fat in here, and we're going to feel like surgeons today, Hillary and myself. We are going to meticulously cut out the portions of the kidney that has fat. And it's good time to just talk about things in the family. There's no real right way to cut the kidney up.
Question, do I need to wash my hands?
You should, but Davis is never worried about cleanliness. So back to me. So zoom in. I'm going to take my time and try to cut out of this kidney portion all of the white fat. Oh, and we don't have a container for it. We'll get one. You can throw it back in the pot. As soon as I feel like I have removed all of the white fat membrane, I'm simply going to create little cubes of kidney. Now these kidneys are pretty much cooked. There's another, but see how you want to cube them. And there's no scientific size. If you like larger portion cubes, you can do it. But so again, you're cutting out the fat any way that you want to cut into this bad boy to get the fat out. You can do that. Now, a lot of people are watching this video and saying, what the heck is he doing? This is the grossest meal I've ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that when I taste, see, that's no good. That's fat. You don't want that. You continue. I feel like a doctor, Hill. Go ahead. Just cut into that sucker. And the sharper the knife, the better. Oh, look. I can very easily cut this fat out. Throw it in the debris pot. I can examine the portion I've got. And then again, you're just dicing it up. This would be probably appropriate if you were making kidney stew also. So this will take probably an hour for us to do. And we're going to put the cubes in cold water. They're going to soak. Boy, I love the smell of kidneys. So that's the latest stage on this buck. I have to, oh, that's got a lot of fat in it.
It does. I don't like that, Paul.
You don't like it, it scares you, but once you cut it away, this is a wonderful, although they say that eating organ meat from animals is a high cholesterol experience. And I'm looking forward to that today. Stay tuned. So we're halfway through the process of cutting up only 4 large kidneys. And my sister Hillary, who's visiting from Baltimore, who hasn't had the meal in a number of years, but grew up on it, she's a little concerned that her cutting up of the kidney is not on target, on spot on. So I want to again tell you that what you're trying to do is you're trying to cut out the white membrane. But you see this pink? That's fine. If there's a little more white, that's fat. You don't want to be eating that. It's going to be chewy and uncomfortable in your mouth. But I would say that there's a particular piece. It's got some pink on it. That's fine. All you're doing is then creating little cubes that are going to go on top of your pancake in a special gravy. Stay tuned. We are halfway through cutting the kidneys. So we have cut 4 large kidneys up, and we feel like 4 large kidneys is enough to allow 3 people to have the meal twice. So it's a good amount for 3 people. Just do your own math for how many people you're going to feed. It's crucial that you wash or rinse. You don't use any kind of soap or anything. You're just rinsing the kidneys that you've cut. And I would say spend a good minute doing this. Don't crush them. They're all cubed up. See, they're all cubed up. And that's what you want. Once you feel like you've rinsed them well, get your nice high quality pot. I recommend a pot that has a decent bottom to it that won't burn on the stove. And this is important. You only want to put enough. I've now covered the kidneys. They are covered. And Rosemary Davis says that you're supposed to cover them twice the amount in the pan. But this, you're actually creating this is going to be the volume of the gravy that you're going to create. So my wife and I have tinkered with the recipe, and we're not going to cover it too much. But you can see there's a 1/2 inch of water above the cresting of the kidneys. And we're going to take this and we're going to put it on the stove. And we are going to bring this to a boil. Once we bring it to a boil, I will continue with yet another step of the creation of the buckwheat and kidneys. We'll talk about the time in a moment, but first I want to bring this to a boil. Stay tuned. I'm here with my sister Hillary. We are halfway through preparing Rosemary's buckwheat and kidneys. You know, in this video, I didn't do the classy, cool thing that other people do. I didn't line up all the ingredients that you had to have ready beforehand. So we're playing catch up. While we're allowing the kidneys to come to a boil, you need 12 bouillon cubes, give or take. Chicken bouillon cubes. And if you haven't had an experience with bouillon cubes yet, it can be awfully frustrating. Some of them will crack in your hand, so you got to be careful. This is going to help create the gravy. So this is a chicken bouillon cube, very basic. Bought it here in Iowa. Get those ready. You're also going to need a stick and a half of margarine or butter. Since I'm a high-fat kind of a guy, I'm going with real butter. So get softened full stick and a half of butter ready.
Salted or unsalted,
It
Paul?
should be either or.
Either
the more
or.
salt in your diet, the better. Because this is not a healthy dinner. Stay tuned. We continue with our journey. Hillary is now skimming off the foam that is on top of the water. We brought the kidneys to a boil. We've turned it back to simmer. But this step includes using a handy-dandy tool and skimming the foam off the top of the kidney potential gravy. Don't ask me what the foam is. I don't want you to think about it, but we're getting it out. Now, after Hillary gets the foam out, that's when we add the stick and a half. Look at me, Ev.
Hold on.
Stick and a half of butter. We're going to go with a stick and a half of butter.
Hold on. More foam.
More foam. Get all the foamage. Foam is not good. We're going to put a stick and a half of butter or margarine after the foam has all been retrieved. Here we go. And then the 12 or so chicken bouillon cubes. Bouillon. So we're going to stir it up. We're going to put our high quality top on. We're turning it down to simmer. We are going to simmer this for 1 hour or until your kidneys get tender, whichever comes first. So, the kidneys are simmering for 1 hour. We've gotten the foamage off. The kidneys, we're close. We're close to what? What would you describe this? How would you describe this meal? It's pretty hard to describe. And we said earlier, our friends won't eat it.
Part stew.
Part buckwheat pancake. We haven't even talked about those yet.
It's so hard. You can't. It's inexplainable.
And in a family of 5 with 2 adults, 7 back in the early mid 60s, Hillary and I remember the disappointment at only being able to have 1 large pancake and 1 dose of the kidney and the gravy.
Correct. But
We
can have as much as we want.
So continue to watch this video and the goal to make Rosemary's buckwheat and kidneys. The timer has begun. 1 full hour on a low simmer. The buckwheat and kidneys. And you could come in here and not be afraid to turn the potential gravy every 15, 20 minutes if you want to. 1 full hour. We are counting down to the completion of Rosemary's buckwheat and kidneys. The most intensive, labor-intensive part is what we're going to do now. We've taken a bag of flour. Well, not a bag, but we have covered about that much of this iron skillet, and it's on slow simmer heat. Hillary is going to continue to brown this white flour, and it'll turn into brown flour, and it'll be the base of what we add to the buckwheat and kidney, to the solution that will turn it into gravy. The heat is low heat.
Low heat.
And this takes a good 25 minutes. I can't tell you how much flour. You possibly won't use all of this flour, but take about a ½ inch, coat the bottom of your pan, get it heated up, continue to stir it. This is not a new, nothing revolutionary. Many of you who make gravy know that this can be part of a recipe that you do at home, but we are now browning the flour. Stay tuned. So now we're going to create the thickage element for your, really it's the water, it's the kidneys, and they've been cooking for an hour. We brought it to a boil, we simmered it for 1 hour. Now follow me over to the sink, use cold water. We've taken some of the browned white flour, and now we're going to create a paste. And this isn't anything that's unusual for anybody who's enjoyed Thanksgiving. We're creating, although I'm not sure I'm using the right tool. Yes.
You just don't want wrong.
We are creating a paste using the browned flour. I like that. Does that look good to you, hon?
Good to me.
All right, Hill. We have the paste. We're now going to work as a team. Hillary's going to stir, and I am putting the brown flour paste, and we've got some injuries here. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to create a gravy. What happened? My poor sister is getting splattered. And she is now going to, just stir and see if we are thickening up. You're going to get some combat pay for this video. Special shout out to Patty Davis and Ellen Davis back in Baltimore, Maryland. So we're going to continue the process of creating a thickened gravy. Stay tuned.
It's 9:30.
We had to create a little more paste. We got more water and brown flour, and we're going to add it to the solution. Now you will thicken it to your desire, but I will tell you that once you take the heat off of this and let this pot sit for 5 or 10 minutes, your gravy is going to thicken up. So we're almost there. Buckwheat and freaking kidneys. Well, I need to tell you, and we've not been very scientific in this video, have we, Hill?
No, we have not.
But it took us the full pan of browned flour, again, 1 inch. We browned it for 20 minutes. We've added it by creating a paste, and we showed you the paste. We actually had to add a little more just regular white flour. And did we add it directly, or did we make a paste? We made it a paste. But ladies and gentlemen, come over here. This is what you want, my wife is. You want a gravy. This gravy is what you're shooting for. So it took us 25 minutes on a mild simmer to let the flour that we had put in the solution to thicken up. You must not be impatient.
You have to have patience.
If you rush it, you'll
have patience.
You can't put too much thickener in. But this is the perfect consistency for Rosemary's buckwheat and kidneys. This is key, and this is going to throw a lot of people for a loop. The next step is making the buckwheat pancake. You can buy buckwheat pancake mix at Walmart, but it is disappearing from a lot of your basic grocery stores. Go to Walmart and ask for Hodgson. Well, it can be any manufacturer. Buckwheat pancake mix. Now, I've already followed the instructions. I'm not going to go into that. So I like a thinner pancake as opposed to a thicker, but this still isn't all that thick. But here we go. And I want to give you a tip, and this is a kind of a sidebar piece of information. And you want to make a large pancake. You're not making regular buttermilk size that you eat at the beach with the kids. For this meal, we recommend a nice size pancake. I'm going on 350 on my Presto Walmart purchased griddle. And remember, when you're cooking a pancake, you can overcook a pancake. Stay tuned. Stay tuned on that. I am a firm believer that you can overcook a pancake. Notice how the bubbles have just started to pop. Don't let them go any further than that, or else you're ruined. Oh, it's hard to, you got to get under it. That's perfect. Now, all you do at this point is count to about 1,020. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, 1,007, 1,008, 1,009, 1,010, 1,015. That's it. They're ready. They are ready. Stay tuned. This is what we've been waiting for. It's only taken us all afternoon. You must put a good amount of butter on your buckwheat pancake mix. Put some good butter on. I recommend butter. And then this is the moment. You put the buckwheat and kidney gravy. Give me your... This is Hillary. She came in from Baltimore, Maryland for this. Try to get a little bit more kidneys and not too much gravy. And then I firmly recommend you hit it good with salt and pepper. Oh, man. And I prefer the crushed. You got to get good amount of salt and pepper on here. You do not cut it up like you're in a race. You carefully carve out one little slice with a kidney or two. Don't burn yourself.
God bless America.
God bless America. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I may have done something wrong to the pancake, but the buckwheat and kidneys are a smash hit.
Do something like this, my friends.
This is called post buckwheat and kidney coma. For Hillary, I'm Paul. Enjoy the meal.